So as I mentioned in the video earlier, I have been thinking this week, since we heard the very sad news about the artist and designer Pam Hogg, who sadly passed away. I did get a little bit upset because she was one of the people who I really admired. Especially when I started to make and I started to do fashion, as it were. And that's a really strange thing about the people that I've always been aesthetically attracted to within fashion and style. They all seem to be self-taught, and without me even knowing, I don't know when I first admire somebody's work whether they're self-taught or whether they've done uni or been classically trained or anything like that. I don't know, but I don't know what it is. There's something about self-taught work that shows. So yeah, I absolutely adored Pam Hogg because she was obviously very unconventional, and she was incredibly non-conformist. It was her way or the highway, and she was a very proud woman and a visionary. And 66 is no age, so it's a real loss, and it's terribly sad. And then I got to thinking about, as I mentioned, the other self-taught designers and artists who I really admire. So people like who have passed. So people like Judy. Judy is a big one for me. He was just, his styling work and his jewelry and his accessories were just so authentically him, and so unique, and so I don't use the word iconic. I don't use the word iconic lightly, but his work was iconic. I could pick up a fashion magazine and flick through, and without even looking at the credits, I would know that he had styled that photo or that shoot. And there didn't even have to be any of his work in it. As in his design work, I knew when he styled. So Judy, Vivienne Westwood, who I've obviously made a video on, and her impact on me, and the amazing Pete Burns, who was my hero, and Pam Hogg, and all these incredible people that are part of my creative DNA. Who I've taken mental pointers from, even before I started making, even before I started designing. Style cues, even before I was interested in becoming either a stylist or a designer, I would look at their work in magazines, because a lot of them would work with musicians, pop stars, and I was very into music, so the kind of iconography of these musicians that was down to these designers and stylists just had such an impact and such an imprint on what I call the library of my mind. So I think I'm going to do some videos on people I've admired as a kind of homage to them, and talk about how they've affected my work, and my attitude towards work, because that's the whole thing with people like Judy Blame, Pam Hogg, Vivienne Westwood, Pete Burns. It was their attitude that inspired you to be interested in their work. So yeah, so R.I.P. Pam Hogg and Judy Blame and Pete Burns and Vivienne Westwood and all the wonderful, wonderful self-taught geniuses that I've had the privilege to be in the same sort of generation as, because these people molded the aesthetic of my generation growing up, when aesthetic meant everything.